What's up, Real Talk family? We'd like to welcome y'all back to show number 8. In the building with me, as always, I got the philosopher. What's up, philosopher?
What's the deal, y'all? How y'all doing out there?
And also with me, of course, I got your number one closer.
That's right. That's right. How come the philosopher always get introduced first? You know, you come in and introduce the closer first once in a while.
I mean,
Well, the closer closes the whole thing. That's why you're last.
There you go.
Okay,
I'll
take that.
The name fits the position. You got to close it off. Man. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
The cleanup hitter always bats in the third hole. You know what I'm saying?
I'm shutting it down.
There you go. So, you know what I'm saying? We're here to talk about another fantastic real estate topic for you. Today, we're here to talk about vets, our military cats.
Yes. First off, thank you all you veterans out there that protect us every single day and for our service. I would have to include first responders as well, police, firemen, medical staff, all those people.
Wow.
I got a lot of love for them first responders and veterans.
Okay, I hear you, Doc.
I got a lot of people in my family in the veteran
category. And then, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But,
that's good. That's good.
Essentially, you know
My
what I'm saying?
grandpappy was a World War II vet.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Tell him we appreciate his service.
Yeah.
We don't appreciate yours because we know you ain't did nothing. Make sure you pass that message on along. Make sure it just don't stop right here with you. That's all I'm saying. Again, you know what I'm saying? We like to appreciate y'all and for y'all service. Kind of everybody that puts their life on the line on a day-to-day basis for our country and for our people, for what we do. We like to call them our Texas heroes. Mm-hmm. And I say that specifically because we got a program here for our Texas heroes. But that's another thing. That's another time. We're gonna get on that a little bit later on the show. What I'd like to say is, from a VA standpoint, the closer, kind of what you feel about the different things that's offered to our veterans here in the country.
Well, I don't think there's enough programs for our veterans. There's a lot of them out there that I think make sense, but it still takes a lot of red tape in some cases to get where they need to be in the time frames. The biggest complaint that a lot of our clients have had over the years is the time frame, how long it takes to get through the process. But if you were to just ask me outright, is there enough programs available for them? I would say no. I said because, there should be no denying getting a veteran or first responder or someone in that line of work a house. You know what I mean? They got to have a place to come home to after that days of work. You know what I mean? And the things that they do from a day-to-day basis, and I just think of it at that level of, they should be able to come home to a place that's theirs, that they're comfortable with, that does whatever it does to make them feel comfortable and relaxed after the type of days that they deal with here. So that's my answer to your question. I don't think there's enough programs, but there definitely are programs out there that we can work through to help them out with.
All right, philosopher, talk to us. What do you think about the vets?
I'm on the side of Walter where I believe they deserve to have a home for whatever their needs and concerns are. I do also believe that the restraints that they go through to get a home should be a little bit more relaxed due to their line of work. The credit restraints should be a little more relaxed for veterans who have served at least for a quote unquote at least 7 to 10 years in active overseas duties. I'm not talking about our reserve folks. I think our reserve people have their own type of criteria. And for those who are actively gone overseas and fought in certain type of wars, I think their credit stuff should be a little more relaxed because when they leave, that family has been stricken because that vet is across the seas and there's one less income, but more debts are still being racked up because of there's one less person there to try to help with the children, help with different things that needs to be done for just day-to-day living. So I believe that there should be a tier style of lending for the tier style of veteran because every veteran that you talk to Some are what is it? Sometimes when they go into that disability stage where they're 50, 60, 70, 80, or 100% disabled, like you got that tier. Or you have those who retired and went back. Then you have that class of veteran, or you have that veteran who just did the 4 years and this is what they did. And then you have the reserves. Just like you have those tiers of servitude, I think there should be tiers of type of lending just specifically for them because of the great things they did for our country and for each one of us to live the life that we live. So there should be just more on that side.
I 100% agree. Well, not 100%, but you know what I'm saying? I do agree with certain points of that. I do believe that we have to do more from a lending standpoint to make sure that we get more vets inside homes. But I guess the part that kind of that I don't necessarily agree with is the fact that, hey, look, if we have no credit requirement or whatever the case may be for a vet, then chances are they're not financially responsible. If they're not financially responsible, the bank is never in a position to give money to a person to take a house that they have to end up taking back. Us as lenders, you know what I'm saying, we're in the business of, hey, look, helping people get in houses, making sure they stay in the houses, and then making sure we're getting the interest payment and, getting paid money on top of our money at the end of the day. And I just think, you know what I'm saying, kind of decreasing the requirement for a veteran is not necessarily helping them from that standpoint. What do you think about closer? What do you think about lessening or lowering the credit requirement for a veteran?
I think that's a tough one, because I think, yes, I agree that they should get more. And I think that lessening it to a degree would help in many cases. But if we lessened it, but then added some supplementary things like education, or, they meet with a CPA, or, somebody that's going to, it's more of a package deal.
Or a credit repair person.
Or something like that, that they don't have to come out of pocket with. You know what I mean? It's these types of things that I think play a role,
Yep.
I think it's important that everyone learns. We just had a session 1 or 2 episodes ago where we were talking about, financial integrity and discipline and things of that nature. I think the dilemma you have with the veteran, especially one that goes overseas, that's at war, and that's doing these other things that protect us, is they're out of the household. So in some ways, I do believe or agree, because I think it's a difference between if I'm sitting here every single day and I'm working my 9 to 5 and I just got bad credit, right? Oh. Versus I'm overseas for 4 years fighting a war, you know what I mean? And my wife with the kids are at home making ends meet while I'm gone, and some of our bills go astray. I think it sounds unfair, but I think that's reality. That's life, So I think that there should be some things because you can't, let's keep it real here for a second. Everybody's not going to join the military, right? Right. It takes some very strong people to go into the military and do what the military does. When danger and stuff comes into play, for them to be running towards it, for first responders to be running towards it. Everybody ain't going to do that, okay? And I think there's a certain level of, I don't want to say reward because that's the wrong word, but there's a certain level of understanding that I think we have to keep in mind for the people that do that for us every day.
All right, Doc. Now we're going to go back to what the Money Man talked about in regards to about having relaxed credit for the veteran. Now, the way I see it is this. When a person decides to go to the military, of course, they go through basic training, and once they go through basic training, they get their first classification, which I think is a P1. And then as they continue to grow through service, their rank gets higher. And the more rank that they get, that shows discipline, honor, and responsibility. So all the things that we have spoken about when we talk about people who want to buy, they may be lacking in one of those areas. So a veteran who has number one has a high rank shows all those quality traits. That does not mean that they will not be quote unquote not responsible. They're just not here to manage it the way that it normally would be because they may be overseas or whatever the case may be. Now, when I speak about relaxed criteria, that just simply means the red tape as far as the lending side. Most veterans who are higher ranked in the service pretty much do have a pretty fairly decent credit score because of the discipline that they're being taught from being in the military for 5 to 7+ years. Mm-hmm. And that's most cases. So most cases, if you want to put a number, that's 70% of them. I can stand firm on that. And because of that, there should not be as much red tape pertaining to them getting the loan, as far as all the other stuff that we have to deal with. And I think a lot of that comes from the VA, not necessarily the lending side, because Veteran Affairs says it has to be this way or it ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that has to be an in-house thing, not necessarily a lender thing, to speed up the process for the veteran to get in the property.
Which that's a little bit true because, you know what I'm saying, the veteran administration are the ones that provides a guarantee, some sort of guarantee for the loan, which is the reason why banks are willing to do that. But my thing is that just because you can, and not taking nothing away from the veterans or whatever, or our military, whatever the case may be, because it's not an easy feat. But just because you can climb under barbed wire, climb through a river, climb over a mountain, doesn't necessarily mean that you are financially responsible. Is the thing that I'm pointing out right here. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I can agree with the fact of they go through a stringent military training, and they go through actual real life military stuff, because there's people some of our military that have gone to war, but that don't necessarily mean they know how to count their dollars.
That's true. But not every military person just climbs on the barbed wire.
Hey man, he been through basic training. Through basic training that make you do some strenuous type of things.
But the thing that I'm talking about is, and again, I say this boundary for first responders and for military, but our military is kind of close and near and dear to my heart. Is because there's nobody that can do what they do for us. Okay,
agreed.
And so because I feel that way, and maybe that's part of my emotional side of it that kind of is making, I guess from a technical standpoint, it's taken away my logic or what the numbers would just say. It's just, I could care less if a military guy had a 550 credit score. I'd be okay with them walking in the door and they have a 550 credit score, but you look at the rest of their stuff and everything else looks great, for them to be able to get a deal and to get a house. Because the care that might need to be taken care of after they're here plays a bigger role for me than, what it takes to get the deal. You get a military person, that's having to live in an apartment or living in a rundown place or something like that. I'd rather them be in a place that's easy for them to get back and forth for anything that they need to do. And at the same time, that takes care of their family and their kids because of what they did for us. And that's why I kind of, so, granted, I'm with you. You got a 400 score. We need to work on some stuff. We got to bring in the counselors and that should be free of charge. You know what I'm saying? Bringing in a credit counselor to work on a military guy's stuff should be free. It's not, but this is the hypothetical part of what I'm saying is as long as they can get them to a certain point where we can say, hey, all right, the rest of this is smooth. Let's get you into your house, and go from there.
I don't know about that. Because this is the thing. If you're not basing the fact of them getting the mortgage on their credit score, and what they've shown as having financial history, then what do you gauge? What do you gauge about how long they was in the military?
Actually, you can gauge them based on how long they're ranking in the military, dog. Because as you go higher, as you get higher in your rank, your responsibility level raises and your discipline raises. So credit is nothing but responsibility and discipline.
And this is my point, and I agree with Hyman's point here. Is so we got people overseas protecting their partners, okay, and managing entire logistical systems, okay.
Yep.
But because they're overseas and they only make X amount of dollars from the military, that might put financial strain on their family here, because their family's living here with the 2 or 3 kids and the life here, where maybe it doesn't fit. They don't make enough. So maybe it does throw some of their bills a little bit to the wayside. But they're running they're running a Fortune 500 company overseas. And when they get home, this is the funny part about it is many of them, at least many of the ones that I've experienced, when they get home, usually within a couple months, they get everything back in order. But it's because of that displacement, that being away from the family and all that stuff that comes into play. So all I'm saying is this, and I put it back on this, is it should be easier for them to get a home. If that means that we need to, alleviate some of the credentials or the credit ratios or come up with programs that puts them in some sort of play while they're there and it works them back, I don't know what the solution is.
So then I would ask you this. When our military is overseas, or even here on the ground, do they get a paycheck or do they not get a paycheck?
They do.
Okay. So then if they get a paycheck, regardless of where they are, even when they come back home to their family, they're still getting a paycheck. So regardless where they are, they still have income to help pay for the necessities of the family. So if they can't manage it overseas, what you're saying is with that same paycheck, they can manage it differently when they get with their family?
What I'm saying is, in particular, is just like anything else. It's like, I guess the way I kind of explain it, it's kind of how we were talking earlier in financial stuff, right? Is if I'm a burger flipper at McDonald's, okay, that's all I'm getting paid is whatever burger flippers get paid at McDonald's. So to go to Hyman's point, I'm one ranking when I start. Maybe it's my first year in, maybe it's my second year in, I get deployed, right? All life happens, right? Get married, have kids. All that stuff happens in the transition of me being overseas, right?
Right.
All I'm saying is I can't do anything to increase, not in the immediate term, my income.
I got you on that one, Doc. Yes, they do get paid, right? And you're saying they should be able to manage their finances from overseas anywhere via internet, whatever the case may be. And when you're in the military and you're overseas, all those things become limited based on what your responsibilities are per your ranking. As Walter would say, as he got deployed, maybe he was deployed as a lower rank, but as he was out on his tours 2 or 3 years down the line, he begins those responsibilities and those disciplinary things. But yet, stateside, it's all messed up because his significant other was not able to manage and maintain it the way it needed to be. The thing I'm telling you is this. Just like when a person doesn't have enough credit, you go in and you stimulate his credit by saying, all right, where you paid your rent at, let me use your light bill as your new credit to help, right? Y'all still do that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you can do the same thing pertaining to if his credit score is low. Let's look at your military history because you've been serving for 8 to 10 years. What is your ranking like? You're moved up so far and so forth and on. It shows responsibility and discipline. In that regard, that should be able to be counted.
And you know what's funny is with this new credit score that they got coming out anyway. You know, have you guys heard about this? The new credit score that's coming out, or they're testing it this year.
New credit score model. Yeah.
Yeah.
In order to create the credit score.
Yeah, where in essence they're doing the same thing. They're doing it for the regular person, where they're coming in and using. I could just put my bank statement on there. I could put my bank account on there, and depending on longevity and you know what my track record is with my bank account, that in theory that's going to adjust or can help me credit wise. They predict that there's some people's credits that's going to move between 30 and 100 points just on that move if it goes into play full term. You know, that's all I'm saying is I'm saying, in essence, make this easier for the veteran and first responder. Stop with the hassle. Like, I don't care if the veteran guy ever has to pay taxes on a house. You know, we talk about stuff like that where they got the different levels of disability. Well, this one pays this amount, this one. Look, you were a veteran. You don't ever have to pay a tax on your house. I mean, I'm fine with that. Because, like I said,
no veteran
not going. I don't care if you spent 4 years. Now, granted, I'm not the person that makes these rules.
Right.
Let's
right.
put that disclosure out there.
But he is right about that. At the end of the day, if you have served as a veteran, right, and you know there's different class of veterans. You have those who active and went overseas and things like that. There should be a grading system of what they need to pay. If you have served 10 years plus and served, say, 3 tours of duty, you don't need to pay taxes.
You did 2 tours of duty.
You don't need to pay taxes.
You don't got to pay taxes on your houses.
I get it. I get it.
You know
But I'm saying on the flip side, you have to look at it from the economical standpoint. We actually, well, I can't speak for other countries, but in the state of Texas, a lot of our stuff gets funded and gets paid through these property taxes that we pay, right? Here in Texas. So if you're telling that the thousands or million or whatever the case may be, veterans that's in Texas, that's a loss of revenue. You don't think that's going to hurt other areas in the economy?
But just like anything else in the government, we're going to find another place to put it. We're going to look, if it came down to it, me personally, and this sounds bold, but okay, you break that up between the other people that didn't go to the military. The people that didn't go serve over there. Okay, we
sound like a true Republican.
We all, but no, but listen to what I'm saying here, though. We already pay high taxes on houses, right?
Right.
We get a homestead exemption as a regular person, right?
Right.
So if my tax is theoretically 3%, I file a homestead exemption, it might go down to 2.7, 2.6 maybe, right? That instead of going to 2.6, we go to 2.8. You know, we still get an exemption. We still get a write-off or whatever it is that we in regards to how we do our stuff. But I just feel that passionate about military people.
Which I do, but I believe it's kind of a biased emotion a little bit, right? Because when you talk about our military, you talk about the ones that are disabled or whatever the case may be. They get a paycheck from the government every month, every week or every 2 weeks or whatever the case may be for the rest of their lives, right? So they have some kind of stability there. What about the normal person that's trying to survive on a day-to-day basis? And you're trying to tell them that they're struggling to pay what they're paying now, but because they're not military, they need to pay more.
Well,
no, you're not telling them to pay more. All you're doing is you're saying.
But
that
you're saying go higher on their taxes.
No, the normal exemption
than the military.
They get a less of an exemption. That's all. The same 2.6 you go to 2.8.
Somebody has to embrace that money that we're giving to our. Now, I'm not taking anything from them. Obviously, you know what I'm saying they worth everything that they should get. But my question is that if you take from take from one area, you got to put it in another basket.
true.
Okay, you just raise taxes on cigarettes and liquor.
They've
been doing that for the longest.
There you go.
Raise hotel taxes. They do that. They do that in Texas all the time.
There's places you can get this money from.
Rental car taxes.
And that's my biggest point is there's places you can get this money from. Okay. The reality of it is you know, there's nothing that I mean, how do you pay for you? Well, let me put it back in your case, Mr. Devil's Advocate.
Let's do it,
man.
Let's do it.
How do you pay for the service of what a veteran's done? And I'm keeping it basic. I'm not even talking about the veterans that come back with PTSD or with medical issues or I'm talking just in a general sense of what they do. I mean, because really, if you think about it, remember the old school bill that really don't
the GI Bill.
The GI Bill really don't fly no more.
I don't think it makes enough. I don't think it give you enough to go to school on.
No.
But I'm just saying though, the general military, when they come back, there's either the reserves that they can actually do, which they get paid for, or if they have some sort of disability, they get benefits for that. And you don't have to necessarily be a disabled vet to get benefits for it. The VA actually offers a nice significant amount of benefits to the veterans.
I could work for the Union Pacific and get a pension if I worked for X amount of years and get paid for the rest of my life too.
On the disability side, the money that's allocated for the veteran, you mentioned the fact that somebody working harder for whatever little bit they got, the veteran really does not get a whole lot from the VA in benefits. You know what I'm saying? I looked at some numbers. It's maybe about $1,700 a month. You know what I'm saying? And you're asking the veteran,
depending on their level of disability.
So that was the one I'm speaking of. That was at 80%. So you take another 20% and 100% disabled, maybe at $2,000 a month.
I've seen it. I've seen it go 2,000. Low twos, somewhere around there. So it's the highest I've seen. Not to say they can't go higher, but
so in essence, when you plug in that $2,000 a month in veterans in their veteran benefits, and they're just working a traditional job, that puts their income at about maybe $6,000 a month, give or take.
Yes.
With that $6,000 a month, all we're saying is this: like, look, let's go ahead and put them in where they need to be. We don't have to account so heavily. Okay, is your credit score this? You know what I'm saying? We need you at a 646, whatever the case may be. We already know they don't got to pay a down payment, which is great. Let's relax some of the credit restrictions and let that be based upon their service in the military. Because that service in the military has gained more of their life than what their life as far as their credit report shows.
But what you're doing.
Let me ask you something, Money Man, too, to go along with what he was just saying. Is, and I know the answer to this, but most of the people don't know the answer to this, so that's why I'm going to ask it. So when that veteran comes in and finances that zero down payment loan, so if that house is $300,000, they're financing $300,000, correct?
Correct.
So in essence, yes, I'm giving them a break that they don't have to put a down payment, but they're still paying for the whole house.
They are still paying for the whole house because it's an asset. It has to be paid for.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm trying to say is that FHA is 3.5%.
Correct.
3.5%, or putting 3% down for a VA would be the same. They really ain't saving. They saving $9,000.
I think that in that regard, though, instead they don't bring 3.5 or 3%. The lending side says, okay, your LTV is at 96% of this, and then that'll be a true zero down, truly, because at that moment you're paying the least amount of a home loan there is.
And if you really see what I'm saying, the theme is pretty much the same. Which is we need to figure out a way to give the veterans more and make this process easier for them to get into a place. Because the things I think about too is when they come back, maybe the place they lived in, now they came back from a term over there, and they need to be closer to a hospital, the VA, or closer to this, and they got to move. You know,
they can absolutely do that. But you know what I'm saying, from what I see, y'all are shooting a whole blanket across the whole military. Mm-hmm. That if you get a certain rank, or because you've been in the military and you made it a certain amount of term in the military, whatever the case may be, and because you had the discipline to push through, that it automatically makes you fiscally responsible. So if that's the case, can we look at it from a standpoint where we say, hey, look, if you're making $40,000 a year, that means you're doing something wrong to where you need to be making more money. If you're making $200,000 a year, we don't care what your credit score is. You obviously know what you're doing because you made it to that point. Now you're going to get a house. I don't care what your credit score is. Does that make sense?
Well,
Because essentially y'all equating the same thing, right? So now we're talking about income status.
no.
We're talking about income status. So we're going to equate income status to now you being fiscally responsible to get a house, any house that you want.
Nah, Doc. I said based on their ranking in the military should either trump or be looked into more so than the credit score because their time in the military is actually longer than their time was here establishing credit.
So you're saying the higher rank they are, then the easier it should be. And I'm saying the more income that you make, the easier it should be. Is that not the point? Is that not the same point? No, it's not the same point. Is it not the same thing?
I see what you said, but that's not what I'm saying.
I think the person who made $40,000 should be just as easy as the person who made $200. That's it. Because of what they did, because of their ranking and the trials and tribulations they went through to gain the foot still to go up higher in rank. At that moment, their credit score could be a 550, but they are a lieutenant in the Marines, Doc. And just because they haven't been here long enough to maintain a 550 to get it to a 700, which I believe they can do, that should be able to even that out and say, okay, based on what you have done in your military career, says we see that you're able and responsible to do this. Because that's all credit score is showing your ability to be responsible.
But if that's the case, then if you have the ability to be responsible and make it to that high ranking, you should have the discipline and the wherewithal to pay people on time.
But you ask them.
Nobody's saying they're not going to pay people on time. The idea is that when they come in and do that.
But what you're saying, the higher the rank is, the less the credit score should matter.
What you're forgetting is this is what we're forgetting is my bill is in Kansas and I'm in Saudi Arabia or I'm in Iraq where they don't even have mailboxes. Like like I'm in a whole nother country, whole nother place. So
and when you say bill, what do you mean bill? Like your residence?
well, no.
I'm trying to figure it out.
He finna tell you apart by just saying he can do everything online.
You tell me with these military terms right here. Hold on. I'm trying to get clarification.
Think about
no,
it.
He not. He finna tell the apart because he's talking about nobody do nothing in the mail no more, man. Everything online, password and ID.
That's right. That's right.
He finna tear the apart right then and there.
Look, I love the fact that you think, but think about it like this. I got X amount of time to get on the phone, and I can go pay that bill, or I can talk to my kids. And I ain't seen them in 3 weeks. Which one you gonna do? I'm gonna talk to my kids. I ain't gonna worry about that.
And when I talk to my wife, I'm gonna make sure she knows that bill is due. She need to pay it because it's going on my credit.
This is what you say. I'm gonna talk to my wife and I'm gonna say, hey honey, da. There's all the bills taken care of. Is this and she's probably
And then say, show me a nipple.
look she's so crazy.
We gonna cut that out.
She's probably gonna come back and say everything is cool because she gonna think I need to make sure that he ain't got nothing to worry about here. So this is the life cycle that I'm trying to explain to you that when they come back, it gets it close. You know what I mean? It gets it close. So, I'm not saying to alleviate every criteria. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, though, that it needs to be easier, some sort of system that maybe takes some of what Hyman was saying to use as alternative to help them out and then give them the resources to get them to where they need to be. But I stand firm on my tax thing. I mean, a house is one asset that we pay tax on. We pay tax on all this other stuff. I'm sure we can make it without the military people paying taxes on houses. But that's just my point of view.
That very well could be true, but I'm not the treasurer, so I don't keep up with all those numbers. But I'm pretty sure it's fairly large if you talk about all militaries across the board.
Well, maybe put a stipulation. Maybe say you had to serve a tour, or maybe you had to serve 2 tours or something.
Yeah, that works right there based on your tour service. And just a sliding scale would be best.
Then that would be discrimination. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't did a tour, you know what I'm saying? They're less than.
No.
Well, hold on a second. Are we all, look, I'm getting marginal here. Aren't we already kind of there? Because you're saying that 580, 590, 600, That's a sliding scale.
Well, the thing about
It is a sliding scale because if you're not financially responsible to pay people on time and have a higher credit score,
So I have a question for you.
You discriminate
Look,
yourself.
I'm cutting you off, but I got a question. So have you ever ran across anybody that has a poor score, but they have all the money in the world and all their regular bills are paid?
I've ran into people like that. But now have all their regular bills been paid? No. That hasn't been the case. They've had one excuse to another. Oh, I forgot. I didn't get a chance to pay it. I gave it to my wife. She didn't do what she was supposed to do. I had to go get that truck, soup it up, jack it up in the air. It's been all kinds of stuff, right?
Every scenario is different.
Every scenario is different. That's what I'm saying. No one size fits all. Just like this this is what y'all recommended.
But that's the one thing I disagree with. The one size that does fit all is the military people are doing what the military people doing that the average person don't do.
And we appreciate everything that y'all do, but this is crazy. Hyman,
That's why we have this conversation.
your real talk takeaways. Give it to me.
Oh man, I just believe that there is always a way to make things a little bit better for our veterans because of the decision that they made, the conscious decision that they made. They didn't have to get drafted like we had to do back in the World War days, World War I, World War II, and Vietnam. They decided on their own to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and serve for whatever their reasons may be, and then still staying to do the whole time. So because of that reasoning alone, things should be a lot better for them when it comes down to purchasing a home.
So essentially what I think is, you know what I'm saying?
Are you thinking you're saying that you know my point already?
I'm just saying, we appreciate everything that the military do. And we feel like that y'all are owed, and it should be offered to y'all everything that's humanly possible and economically possible. And I feel very strongly that there are some things that will change in the future. I don't know how soon in the future, but things will change to make it better for you guys. But obviously, we appreciate what you do. I am not trying to talk bad or say anything and offend any of our military, because obviously y'all have done a great thing for the country, but just wanted to offer a different perspective in looking at and what our great country does for the military. So now we're going to hand it over and let the closer closes us out.
Well, I think what you just said was well said. You know what I mean? And covered a lot of the bases of what I would say in regards to I appreciate the military and the first responders and what they do for us. And we just going to have to work at making things better for them. Every day we're going to have to strive to make things better for them.
Amen. Please rate and subscribe. Don't forget to leave us feedback, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.